It is 8:44, 45, 46. We will begin this special meeting of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. On this morning's agenda, give me a second, I'm still pulling it up.
Candace, can you keep admitting folks,
Yeah.
please? Thank you.
I looked down at my screen for a second. I missed it.
Okay, we have one item, discussion and consideration of a construction agreement with Clayton Properties Group Incorporated, Solution Builders under the trademark Oakwood Homes, for the construction of the housing at 10-2 project. This will be led by Housing Program Manager Jackie Wellahan, as well as Rural Planner Michael Yerman.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for making time for us this morning. So I think that we, Chris and Michael and Amy and John, John is their attorney, are all joining us as well. Have been working very hard to make this contract come together for you today. So I'm gonna let, I don't know, Chris or Michael, if you guys wanna kick it off.
So I'll just say that, sorry it was late getting into your packet, I did email it out as soon as we had a Bible version to send to you for review last week. I think that we've addressed all the material issues, and there are a few little nits that we need to pick in terms of finalizing the version that you have in the packet, including attaching all of the exhibits to it, which most of them are they're big documents, so that's why they weren't attached in the draft that's in your packet today. But Michael and Jackie, you can kind of maybe give an update where we are. This is the situation where this is scheduled for this morning because we need to get it finalized by tomorrow in order to go under contract and preserve our pricing and such, and be able to proceed with responding to the potential buyers that we have. So with that, Michael and Jackie, I'll let y'all say any other updates you'd like to, especially in terms of where we are on the number of potential buyers.
So in terms of the buyers, we had 17 buyers who went through the lottery in February. We are down now to 10 that are moving forward. We lost a couple because of pricing. We lost a couple because of life circumstances. And Oakwood has been working with Sammy. So Oakwood is contracted with a gentleman who's working on the website. So the website, if you look at it, housinglakcounty.com, you see it's vastly improved over what it was. And then there is a lot of social media outreach. And so I really don't think that we're gonna, considering the lack of marketing that we had going into the first lottery, and the fact that it's opened up the homes to not being, they can work in other communities surrounding Lake County. I think we're gonna be fine in terms of getting 14 buyers. We got 10 buyers with no marketing and mismarketing. So my hope is we can get 14 with much better information. So that's where we are on that. Michael?
Sure. So I'll get into some of the important contract details then. The next step is that Oakwood would be beginning the ordering of the boxes from Bonnevilla. And at that point, they are putting down a substantial down payment in the form of real cash to reserve 24 units. The maximum amount on that is 350,000. That assumes that none of the boxes, that would be their maximum exposure. And that's kind of the new piece of the contract that we discussed. To preserve that pricing, they have to order all 24 units. We do have the ability after the second lottery to potentially reduce that order, which would greatly reduce that exposure if in the event that we weren't able to get all 24 units under contract. But we know we have 10, so even at that 350 amount, the exposure is already reduced with having 10 folks under contract this week. As we do that, the big date on this contract, and what I think we would owe the BOCC is ensuring that we're giving you timely updates through July, especially after the lottery, because as of basically your first meeting in August, there is a provision in here that we have to potentially reduce the box number in the order from Bonavia, and that would be at the point when we would be out potentially the down payment that we put on those additional boxes. So we have the ability on June 13th to reassess. We have the ability to reassess after the actual lottery. So June 13th is when the applications are due for the second lottery. July, Jackie, can you remind me of the date? July, what is the lottery date?
23rd.
July 23rd. Thank you. I was gonna say the 27th. I knew I was wrong. July 23rd would be the actual lottery date. And then by the end of August, by the end of July, we'll have contracts in hand. So what I would be hoping to do is to be back in front of the BOCC again, probably your second meeting in June, as well as your second meeting in July to give you updates on where we stand on the second lottery. And then if you want us to get into the details of the contract, what would the BOCC like as far as the presentation on the contract?
We'd like more time to review it, for one thing. All this stuff came to us over the weekend, and so I know you guys are in a big hurry because of pricing, but it's kind of hard to do this over a weekend and then try and understand all this, so any way we could get more time, like a day? This is a draft anyway, isn't it, Chris?
Well, my request today was going to be approve the draft that's before you pending final legal review, so we can get all the details, with the exhibits and everything finalized. I 100% understand and agree with you in terms of not having much time to review it. And John Peckler, the attorney for Oakwood, who's on the meeting today, we have worked diligently over the last couple of weeks, nights and weekends as well, to try to get the version that's before you today finalized and honed in to make sure that it is a balanced agreement that protects both of the parties. And so, but if you have specific concerns, maybe Michael and Jackie can help the commissioners understand better why we kind of need to have it signed by tomorrow, I think is our deadline. Michael?
Sure. The desire is to get the 10, we're teed up to get the 10 folks that have won the lottery under contract. And I think that's an important milestone for doing the order with Bonavia. Amy, I don't know when the actual date, maybe you can speak to that, of actually trying to order the first round or putting the order in and holding the pricing. I know you guys have a pretty that date from Bonavia.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. We just, when our team went to the factory and visited with Bonavia leadership, they negotiated a price hold until June 1st. And so that's what we're working against. Just, while the tariff things seem to have maybe settled down for a little bit, when we were having that conversation, that was part of the whole context there. So, I think also we had hoped to have maybe 16 of the 17 buyers under contract. I think we understand where we're at, and have settled in on the 10. And I think what's made, given a little bit more comfort is that there's 180 folks on the interest list for the second lottery and 35 people, I believe, Jackie, who've reached out, directly and said they intend to apply. So I think those indicators are promising that we'll get 24, contracts here over the summer and can deliver on those. But it's really the price hold from the factory that's driving this.
So let me just, I'm gonna walk through it and you all tell me if I'm understanding it correctly. This contract is saying, yes, we're gonna commit to the 10 that already have, that have already gone through the lottery. Those are gonna get built. We are not committing to the rest of them, but Bonavia is committing to creating the last 14.
So the answer to that is we're committing to all 24 in this contract.
Okay.
In
Yeah.
order from Bonavia and placing order. The am I saying it correctly, Amy? The down payment or the escrow funds that Oakwood needs to give Bonavia is 350,000. And so that's the max exposure that if for some reason we decided to not move forward at all, that we would be out for this project. That's exposure that exposure is for all 24 units. So the assumption I have is that we have 10 folks that are ready to execute contracts. So that 350 is even reduced further in the event that we don't fulfill all 24 contracts that we need to build the entire project. I think that's really the timeliness issue around today's discussion. I do appreciate the comment about the time and the need to review the contract further by the BOCC. So if that space needs to be made, we can kind of look at the calendar and figure out how to accommodate that. I would say that significant contract, and so I can appreciate that desire to look at that because this is a contract for $8.7 million. So this is not a small contract, and I can appreciate the need for that. I think looking at the calendar, if that's the case and needing more time, I'm certainly available again this week to make something happen. So, yeah, that'd be. But again, I know it's hard to say, ask or what questions you have. It's because it sounds like that more time is needed before you could actually get into asking specific questions.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, so the price hold is good until June 1st, which is a Sunday. So technically, and maybe Amy, you can help with this too, we need to pretty much have a decision and have a signed agreement in place with Oakwood by no later than Friday in order to place the initial order with Bonavia by that day to avoid the price increase that will be imposed on, I presume, June 2nd. Correct?
Yes.
The other thing that's kind of happening at the same time, we have these 10 buyers, we need to get them under contract for Oakwood to feel comfortable, in placing the order. So we need a minute to be able to do that too. I reached out to local realtors to see if anybody would be interested in writing those contracts for a low price. And Amy Tate stepped up, however, she's leaving town Friday. So she'd given me some time Thursday and Friday to execute contracts with buyers. So we might have to rethink that part of things.
Can we approve this pending a final review and just give us all a couple hours to read through it?
That's what I was gonna say, you certainly can, and if anything material changes with it, or if something happens that we're not able to get those folks under contract, then we don't proceed with presenting it to you, Andy. I would presume you'd be the one authorized to go in and sign off for signature at that time.
Yeah, I hope we can avoid that, but it's
So
also,
why would we approve it pending review? Why don't we just wait for the final? We got till Friday.
because I think we need to schedule a meeting.
Yes, you have to line up the buyers to get them to be able to come in and do their contracting, and even for those initial 10, right?
Yeah, and you don't
It's gonna
want,
take a minute.
we don't wanna be signing contracts with buyers without having a contract with the.
With the builder, yeah.
And you have to sign the contracts with the buyers by what date?
So, and maybe Chris, we can talk about this and figure out if there's another way of proceeding, but we have lined up Amy Tate to write contracts, and she's available Thursday and Friday to write contracts with buyers. That means the contract with Oakwood would need to be approved prior to that.
And there's also we would have to schedule a second meeting to approve and sign if we didn't approve it today.
We'd have to like do it by tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
in
that
order
would
to be
need
able to line
24
those up
hours.
for Thursday and Friday.
Mhm.
Notice.
So
But
if you feel like, so if you feel like by tomorrow would be enough time, we would just have to find time on the calendar for tomorrow to do another, you do have work sessions scheduled and
Starting
then
at 10:30.
and then special meeting, at 12:30 still, is that still on Whiskey Cooper tomorrow?
12:30 work session. Yeah.
Yes,
There, we could do it at 3.
yes.
We do it at 3 tomorrow.
That would
that-
be very helpful.
That would be helpful.
I would not feel comfortable with this, I don't know what's going on.
it's
I'd
a,
like to really, I read through this contract once and there's a few questions I have
Sure.
that I need to read through it 3 times. And also, maybe, no offense, but get another legal opinion on it and see what our exposure is. Because if those 10 people fall through and we're on the hook for 12, that's at least half, that's $4 some million that we don't have.
Well, and that's what I think Michael was explaining, that really the exposure is the down payment to Barnvia
Yeah,
for those units of $350,000, so it's not 4 million
yeah.
would be the exposure. In terms of getting a second legal opinion, I can certainly try to find somebody who will do that for you.
In 24 hours time.
I was gonna say, there's no one here in Leadville
Yeah.
that can do that for you. So we'd have to engage with somebody outside of the community to do it, and I'm happy to try to find somebody to do that on that short of notice, but I can't guarantee you that'll happen right now. And if there are questions you have, I'm happy to explain the best I can in terms of those questions, but if there are legal issues you have, I'm happy to try to answer your questions on those too. I haven't been asked any legal questions, so I'm not sure that we necessarily need an outside legal opinion.
Okay, I understand. So this exposure you're talking about, we have to order the boxes, we have to give them a deposit of $350. The 10 buyers fall through, or they can't qualify. We have no buyers, then,
They're pre-qualified, aren't they? These are folks that have pre-qualified
I
already.
know, but things happen. And people change their minds, they don't like the terms, the bank, things happen, so. I don't wanna jump into this and then all of a sudden be stuck at least 12 units that we're then owning and trying to rent out. And also, there's a provision that says that the developer can lease them and then we would be obligated to buy them back after the lease, and there's no term on that lease.
They would be marketed during the time that they're leased for sale, so they'd still be for sale. We would just try to lease them to help, cause the developer is fronting all the cost of these, so they are carrying all the cost of building them until they're sold. So in the in a situation where they're building a unit and somebody drops out, we lease that until it's sold. We would at least be able to give them the rental funds for the carrying cost of that debt for the developer. That's what that's intended to do. But none of them are intended for a true long-term, year-over-year rental. They're all intended to be sold. It's only if they aren't all sold by the time we get a certificate of occupancy on one of the units that they'd be able to be leased at that point in time. So.
It's there's a lot of risk involved. And it all hinges on having enough buyers and being able to qualify with such a low income. And then they're spending a lot of money every month just tied to that mortgage. So, I'd like at least 24 hours to review this.
So we can, Michael, go ahead.
So I would, with those comments, section 12 of this agreement is really the section that I would, as the commission review this again, I would review section 12, the notice to proceed. The key dates in there have some milestones. And again, looking at the, what you're the concerns that are being expressed, which I share, around, the current states of the economic situation of our country even, there are provisions in here as far as timelines. Again, the way I look at this is the way this contract basically reads, in the event that we do not get the folks that we need to proceed, there are two kind of things that we're out. We're out the original 69,000 that we've spent on the architecture costs to date with Oakwood, and the marketing efforts that they're under agreement already for in the professional service contract, as well as the additional potential down payment that they're giving to Bonavia, the county would be responsible for. Now, there are things in here around ensuring that they make their best reasonable efforts to reduce that and get as much of that down payment back from Bonavia in the event that we don't proceed. But there's no guarantee, as there's all development has risk. And so that is the with that amount. But I would encourage the BOCC to, if we are going to extend the date of consideration of this, to read section 12 of this agreement, because that really spells out the different milestone timelines in the next 2 months that we have as it relates to the different lotteries and qualifying buyers. I think that's really where a lot of the meat's on the bone as it relates to how the risk, and again, the goal of the way we wrote this contract is to reduce the risk at every important milestone over the next 2 months, and be really diligent about making informed decisions. And so I think a lot of time was spent on this provision in particular between Oakwood staff and our staff, really trying to make sure that we're checking in and trying to reduce that. I don't want to speak for Oakwood, but I think they have the same concern that you have expressed around qualified buyers. And so we're all going into this with the same concerns and have drafted to that effect.
Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
Great, so we just need to reach out to Sandra to
Get that
schedule
scheduled
a
for,
special meeting for tomorrow, and in the meantime, we will do our homework and make sure that we have all of our questions answered before we get to our special meeting tomorrow.
and if you have.
What time is that special meeting gonna potentially be?
3 o'clock is where we have room on our calendar.
3 o'clock would be great for me.
Great.
Please schedule a time that works, and then I'll have, if I have to step out of a meeting, I will.
Michael, do you have time to talk to me personally today? Can I call you?
I do have time. I will be on the road to Trinidad from 10 to 1:30, and then I'm available from 4 to 6 tonight.
Maybe we could talk later tonight?
Yep, 4 to 6. I have actually 4 to 7 I'm available. I do have a presentation to give to the trustees in Buena Vista at 7 on Zoom, but I'll be available.
That'd be great. If you and I could speak on the phone after 4, you can call me on you can get my number somehow.
Yep. Yeah, I'll plan on, if it's okay with you, I'll plan on 5 o'clock.
That sounds good.
Great, I'm asking Sandra right now, is that okay? Okay.
Right. Amy and John, thank y'all for being here this morning too. Let us know if tomorrow at 3 doesn't work, and Rob, I know he was here a minute ago. If that doesn't work for y'all or another representative to be here with Oakwood to answer questions, that would be helpful, but understand if that's not available.
3 works for me, Chris. So I'll look for another Zoom invite, and we'll be ready then.
Yeah, it works for me as well, thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Alright. So, did that require a decision, or are we just gonna close?
We're just closing the
Okay.
meeting.
Do they wanna, Chris, they wanna make a motion because of noticing to table this until 3 o'clock tomorrow pending Sandra's?
I'm gonna move to table this until 3 o'clock tomorrow.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, to a vote,
Aye.
aye. Alright,
Thank you, guys.
thank you guys, thanks everyone for your patience, it is 9:11 AM, we're gonna conclude today's special meeting, Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Gives us 4 minutes.